the
So let's talk about the business, bro.
Let's go.
I feel like most people don't understand the business of what you got going on. Like you said, I just had to turn in this
Writing sample.
this writing sample.
Yeah.
That's work.
Mm-hmm.
Like people think like you just sitting around being funny all day, and it's like, bro, like it's a business and a structure to this.
It's 90% business, 10% talent. Probably with anything in this entertainment industry right now, especially. So I even brought up the writing thing because you said you was up all night, you know what I'm saying, doing this thing, and I was like, I had to do a writing sample for what you was talking about earlier. For people at home, it's when someone wants to hire you for a writing job and they need to see your work, as opposed to sending in a resume saying I wrote for this, this, and this. You turn in a sample of an episode of a show that they already know. So if it's like Power or Abbott Elementary or whatever it is, turn in your version of that so they know the characters and they don't have to think about who it is. They can see the show and see how your writing style is and see if they want to hire you from there. So it's a lot of different things like that. I've written from everything from, like I said, from award shows to I've done something for Michelle Obama for voting for Vote or Die, and it was during kind of the COVID era. And it was online, and they were trying to get people to vote in 2020. And it was Charlamagne, 2 Chainz, and Lil Baby, just writing little blurbs and stuff for them. So, it's a lot of business involved with that. But then also getting your own business and getting the LLC or S corp, depending on how you feel about how you want to do your taxes. That's the most important part. But having that, so like obviously you're not liable for anything when you go into these places, but just having a business name. Mostly for tax purposes, that's what we don't talk about in our community at all, is like there's different ways to gain wealth, but the biggest way to lose it is not knowing about taxes. Mm-hmm. Like that is probably the number one thing people don't talk about. That's what hits, I feel like, the athletes back in the day. Like now they get paid too much to really fail, but back in the days, the ones that failed, I think they didn't have enough knowledge about taxes, and the people that was working with them didn't, and that it hit you quick.
Did it ever like hit you? At any point, or
it hit me to the point to where like the first year I had to pay, so it wasn't like
how much you had to pay?
$16,000
all at once.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do so. You can put it on payment, and my tax pro suggests that you do. You put it on payment.
How long were you going? Because it's something I'm dealing with too. Like,
okay,
how long were you hustling before you turned into a businessman? Like, how long were you just grinding? And because you get paid, I got to pay bills. I ain't thinking about putting 30% up or 33% up, right? How long were you in that phase until you started paying taxes? How you supposed to do it?
So I fortunately, before I started doing comedy or getting in this industry at all, I got my master's, I got my MBA. I was working. I got to Atlanta working with the Hawks, kind of like in their front office, doing some business coordinator shit. And so I was, getting my taxes done and kind of learning about business, being around older men, especially that had families and was, that would actually talk about shit like that. So I just kind of took that into when I went full time into doing comedy.
Yo, so how does it look? I guess, how does the business look for you? Like when you getting these writing opportunities, are you pitching yourself to them? Like, are they finding you? Are you marketing yourself? Like, how are you getting these opportunities?
Man, it's connections, dog. It's like when you do get your opportunity to go hard. Like, so if I'm asked to write, like I wrote for this game show, and DC was hosting, and it's called Celebrity Squares.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was writing for that, and when I was auditioning or whatever, trying to get writers, they asked for 25. Sample questions, I sent in 50. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going above and beyond. You're going to have to remember me for something that I'm doing with this writing situation. So it's just like going hard and getting those connections and somebody knowing, like, okay, I can count on this person. Because that's all it is in damn near any field, is those connections. And then once you work, a lot of people work for the same people a long time, up until I want to get to the point where I'm hiring the people that are like me. And doing kind of the same.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I'm getting into that space where I do production, but like the meat and potatoes is the podcast, right? But I gotta do other things to pay the bills, so I do production and things like that. But it's like sometimes that can take away from the meat and potatoes, right? What people know me as, so I gotta start hiring people. When do you know when is enough for you? And it's like, all right, I can't continue to spread myself.
I got a question for you. What's more important to you, what people know you as, or what you want people to know you as?
What I want people to know me as.
So boom. So I think you take that attitude into it in terms of people gonna take what you give them because they got to. It ain't like they can say, "Oh man, I ain't f***ing with Jay Hill because he ain't saying this or nothing no more." But I think just my advice to you is just use this as the branches, kind of like look at how 85 did. Even with my podcast, got a podcast called More Than Culture. Our YouTube numbers are whatever it is. We just can't really figure it out. But we're really kind of using YouTube as ad space or promo for our Patreon, which you get subscribers and you get paid monthly. So it's just little shit like that. Obviously, the ad reads, and I was watching Wallow, $1 million worth of game, and he said when they first started how he literally was going to the barbershops and the car salesman places, just little shit like that. And that's not for you, but just game for everybody out there. It's just using this as the base and then branching off for what you want people to know you as.
And I want people to know me as this for sure.
Yeah.
I think the other things I do because I guess I'm good and I have the equity or the equipment to do so, and it helps pay the bills, to be honest. I guess sometimes for me it's just I don't want to spread myself too thin, even in this, right? Because I'm doing literally everything, booking the guests, editing, just everything, right? Doing the research, then doing the production. Then it's like every single thing, and it's like, man, at what point should I start hiring? But it's like, can I hire? Because I need the money to pay the bills. And then it's like you're not really supposed to be taking everything out the business to pay your bills. You should, and I'm like, yo, how do I have a business and not pay my bills? You got to pay yourself. Like, I can't afford to pay my.
Bro, you know who had that same conversation with themselves?
Who?
Same made this phone. Steve Jobs. So everything you just said, I'm sure he had that conversation when he started Apple. Same. So it has to start somewhere. He had to start the business on his own and commandeer the people and use his equipment and pay the bills. Same exact thing. You ain't different than nobody else that's gonna be successful. And you already are successful because you're doing the shit. People are watching it, and you have a following, you have a crowd, you have a fan base, and you have a place where people like need to come. They're like, if you don't come out one week, niggas is like, yo, what up? Where you at?
Yeah.
So now you have people counting on you.